Welcome to BookCast, where books speak and you grow. Here, we bring the world's most powerful books to life, breaking down their big ideas, life lessons, and hidden gems, so you can learn, grow, and transform, one chapter at a time. Before we begin, if you love learning and growing through books, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us bring more great books to life for you. Let the book speak and let your journey begin. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Dave Ramsey. He was ambitious, intelligent, and determined to succeed. In his 20s, he was already making money through real estate, buying and selling houses, and feeling unstoppable. But underneath the excitement, he was standing on a mountain made entirely of debt. And one day, that mountain collapsed. The banks called in his loans, the money disappeared, and everything he thought he had built vanished overnight. It wasn't just a financial crash, it was an emotional one. He felt humiliated, broken, and scared. But in that collapse came clarity. He realized that the entire system he had trusted, the idea that debt was normal and leverage was smart, was a lie. And from that pain, he rebuilt not just his finances, but his philosophy. That philosophy became the Total Money Makeover. It's not a theory, it's not a dream. It's a tested, step-by-step plan that has helped millions of ordinary people take control of their money, eliminate debt, and find peace. In a world that tells us to borrow for everything, for cars, phones, homes, education, Dave's message hits like a thunderclap. Debt is not your friend, it is your enemy. And freedom, true freedom, begins the moment you decide to stop being normal. Imagine for a second, no payments, no credit cards, no loans, no car installments. You own everything you have, and your money works for you instead of the other way around. That's the dream Dave invites you to pursue, not a fantasy, but a mission that starts with a single decision. The Total Money Makeover is about transformation. Not just changing how you handle money, but changing how you think about it, how you see yourself, and how you live. Because money is deeply emotional, it's tied to fear, pride, and even identity. That's why Dave says this journey isn't 80% knowledge and 20% behavior. It's the opposite. 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge. You don't need more financial tricks, you need new habits. He divides the transformation into what he calls baby steps, small, simple, focused actions that build upon each other like a staircase to freedom. And the beauty of it is that anyone can do it. No matter your income, background, or mistakes, you can start today. The first step is simple but powerful. Save a $1,000 emergency fund as fast as you can. Why? Because life happens. The car breaks down, the kid gets sick, the washing machine dies. Without a small cushion, you're forced back into the very trap you're trying to escape debt. That first $1,000 isn't about the money, it's about confidence. It's your first shield against chaos. Once that's in place, it's time for the most famous part of the plan. The debt snowball. Here's how it works. List all your debts, smallest to largest. Don't worry about the interest rate. Focus on momentum. Pay the minimum on everything except the smallest debt, and attack that one with every extra dollar you can find. Sell things, cut subscriptions, eat at home, throw every bit of firepower at that first debt until it's gone. When it disappears, you move to the next one now with more power. You add the old payment to the new one, and the snowball grows. Each victory gives you more motivation. Each debt destroyed adds energy to the mission. People underestimate the psychological boost of seeing progress. That's what makes the snowball so effective. It feeds your belief in yourself. Dave says, personal finance is not about math, it's about behavior. If math were the issue, we'd all be rich, because calculators are cheap. But behavior, discipline, emotion, patience, that's where the battle is won or lost. And in those early months of your makeover, something shifts. You stop being a victim. You stop saying, I can't. You start saying, I'm done living like this. You feel the power of traction, and it changes everything. When all your non-mortgage debts are gone, you move to the next level. Building a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is your safety net, your wall of protection against life's storms. If you lose your job, get sick, or face a crisis, you won't panic. You won't borrow. You'll simply use your savings, rebuild, and move forward. That peace of mind is priceless. Because money problems aren't just financial, they destroy relationships, confidence, even health. But when you have a cushion, you sleep better, you think clearer, and you make better choices. By this point, you've done something rare. You've built stability. And from that stability, you're ready for the next move. Growth. Once you've reached that point, you've done what most people never do. You've created margin. And that margin gives you power. The next mission in the Total Money Makeover is to invest for your future and secure your family's tomorrow. Dave calls this step building wealth on purpose. You start by putting 15% of your income into retirement accounts, not after the bills, not after vacations, but as a non-negotiable habit. This is the seed that grows into long-term freedom. And here's what makes Dave different. He doesn't just teach you how to make money. He teaches you how to give it meaning. He says, if you live like no one else now, later you can live like no one else. That means making sacrifices today, driving a cheaper car, saying no to impulse spending, skipping the upgrades so that in the future you can live without stress, fear, or dependence. At this stage, the focus shifts from survival to intentionality. You start paying off your home early. For most people, the idea of a life without a mortgage feels impossible. But Dave's challenge is radical. Imagine mailing in your last house payment and knowing the roof over your head is truly yours. No bank, no lender, just peace. And when you own your home free and clear, something profound happens inside you. The world doesn't own you anymore. Every dollar you earn becomes a tool, not a chain. You begin to see wealth not as luxury, but as responsibility. You're no longer chasing status. You're chasing significance. Then comes the final transformation, building wealth and giving it away. Because in Dave's philosophy, money isn't just for you, it's for impact. He believes generosity is the ultimate stage of financial freedom. When you've worked hard, sacrificed, and built wisely, you can bless others, your family, your community, even strangers. Giving isn't about guilt. It's about gratitude. It's proof that you've mastered money instead of letting it master you. But let's step back for a second. None of this happens by accident. Dave doesn't sugarcoat it. He warns that people will think you're crazy. When you sell your car to pay off debt, when you stop eating out, when you refuse to take on new loans, the world will laugh. They'll say, you only live once, enjoy it now. But the truth is, they're not free. They're working for banks, paying interest, living paycheck to paycheck, pretending to be rich while drowning in stress. The Total Money Makeover is about doing the opposite. It's about taking back control. It's about saying, I will not be normal. Because normal is broke. Normal is exhausted. Normal is scared every time the phone rings or the bill arrives. You deserve better than normal. You deserve freedom. Dave fills his book with real stories, ordinary people who decided to change their lives. Couples buried in credit card debt who clawed their way out. Single moms who paid off their houses. Young adults who became millionaires by following the baby steps with relentless focus. Every story is proof that this isn't theory. It works when you do. He tells you to stop blaming and start acting. You can't fix your financial life while clinging to excuses. Not your job, not the economy, not your family. Change begins the moment you take responsibility. He often says, your biggest wealth-building tool is your income and the way you manage it. And that's why budgeting is central in his plan. To many people, the word budget feels restrictive, like a cage. But Dave reframes it completely. A budget isn't a prison, it's permission. It's how you tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's freedom with purpose. He encourages couples to sit down together and plan every dollar before the month begins. He calls it the budget meeting. It's not always easy. There will be fights, disagreements, and frustration. But through that process, you learn teamwork, communication, and unity. Money no longer becomes a silent monster in your marriage, it becomes a mission you share. By this stage, you begin to notice changes beyond your bank account. You start to feel lighter, calmer, stronger. You realize that the makeover was never just about money, it was about identity. The habits that make you financially fit are the same ones that make you emotionally and mentally resilient. You're learning patience, discipline, consistency, and gratitude. And then comes one of the most powerful shifts Dave talks about: redefining wealth itself. In his world, being wealthy isn't about luxury cars or designer clothes. It's about peace of mind. It's the ability to say no. It's the confidence to take risks, to give, to dream bigger because you're no longer enslaved by debt. As you move deeper into this journey, you begin to see that money has never been the real issue. It was always about habits, emotions, and mindset. The way you treat money reflects the way you treat your life. Are you intentional or impulsive? Are you patient or reactive? Are you building for the future or trying to impress the present? Dave often talks about the culture of debt, how society has normalized borrowing for everything. People finance cars, phones, vacations, even furniture, just to feel successful for a moment. He calls it a trap, a fake version of wealth built on payments. And when you finally see through that illusion, it's like waking up from a dream. You realize that debt steals your future, one payment at a time. The moment you stop borrowing, you break the cycle. Suddenly, every dollar you earn belongs to you. You can start planning instead of reacting, saving instead of surviving. That's when hope comes back. You stop dreading the end of the month. You stop fearing emergencies because you're prepared. And for the first time, you start believing that financial peace isn't just possible. It's real. Dave reminds readers that this transformation takes time. You didn't get into debt overnight, and you won't get out overnight either. But if you stay consistent, something beautiful happens. Momentum builds. He calls it the power of focus. When you give every ounce of energy to one goal at a time, you make progress faster than you thought possible. It's not about intensity for a moment, it's about consistency for a lifetime. He often uses fitness as a metaphor. Just like building muscle or losing weight, financial health demands discipline. You can't work out once and expect results. You can't skip meals and call it nutrition. It's daily choices showing up, staying focused, and believing that small steps lead to massive change. That's why it's called the Total Money Makeover, because, like any makeover, it takes work, sweat, and sometimes pain before you see the beauty. Another key lesson from Dave is contentment. He says that real wealth isn't about getting everything you want, it's about wanting what you have. When you learn to be content, marketing loses its power over you. You no longer chase the next upgrade, the next gadget, the next illusion of happiness. You find joy in simplicity, in control, in peace. And ironically, when you stop chasing wealth, you begin to attract it naturally. Dave often says, "Live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else." That simple sentence is the heartbeat of his philosophy. It means being willing to stand apart now, to say no when others say yes, to sacrifice comfort for freedom. It's not easy, but neither is being broke. You just have to choose which kind of hard you're willing to face. He shares stories of people who sold their cars, downsized their homes, and cut their expenses dramatically, not because they loved struggle, but because they loved freedom more. They refused to let short-term pleasure steal their long-term peace. And as months turned into years, they achieved something priceless: independence. Once your debts are gone, your savings are strong, and your investments are growing, you begin to experience what Dave calls financial peace. It's a quiet power. You walk differently. You sleep better. You stop comparing your life to others because you finally know what enough feels like. In this stage, generosity becomes natural. You're not giving from guilt or pressure, you're giving from abundance. You help a struggling friend. You donate to causes you believe in. You surprise your parents with something they always wanted. That's when money becomes beautiful. It's no longer a source of stress, it's a tool for impact. Dave also talks about legacy, about teaching your kids what you learned, so the next generation doesn't repeat the same mistakes. He says wealth that isn't taught is wealth that disappears. True legacy isn't about inheritance, it's about wisdom. You teach them that hard work matters, that saving before spending is power, that giving is joy. When you pass on those lessons, your impact outlives you. He also warns against one of the most dangerous traps of success: pride. When you finally reach stability, it's easy to become arrogant, to forget the struggle that built you. Dave reminds you to stay humble. Remember where you came from. Remember that freedom is a blessing that can vanish if you stop respecting it. Humility keeps you grounded, thankful, and wise. And through all of this, Dave's tone never changes. It's tough love. He doesn't coddle, he challenges. He believes people are capable of far more than they think. He believes in discipline, faith, and action. His message isn't just financial advice, it's a call to personal responsibility and courage. Because in the end, this journey isn't about money, it's about becoming the kind of person who can handle freedom. And that's what makes the Total Money Makeover more than a financial plan, it's a mindset revolution. It teaches you that money isn't the goal, it's a mirror. It reflects your habits, your fears, your priorities, and your strength. The makeover doesn't just change your wallet, it changes your character. You become more patient, more intentional, more grateful. You stop living paycheck to paycheck, not just because of numbers, but because you refuse to live that way anymore. Dave often reminds his audience that wealth built slowly is wealth built to last. There's no lottery ticket, no shortcut, no secret hack. The only secret is work, real work, the kind where you make a plan, stick to it, get back up and keep going. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Everyone wants freedom, but few are willing to walk through discipline to get there. And yet, every day, millions of people do. They listen, they follow the steps, and they find peace. The beauty of Dave's message is that it gives people hope, the kind of hope that isn't built on fantasy, but on truth. He gives them permission to believe that their past doesn't define their future. You may have made mistakes, lost time, or fallen deep into debt, but you can start over. You can rewrite your story. Dave says you can't change the past, but you can change your future starting now. That line hits deep because it reminds you that the power to transform is always in your hands. No one can do it for you. You don't need luck, you don't need miracles, you just need commitment. One step at a time, one choice at a time. As your financial life transforms, so does your identity. You start seeing yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as the architect of your destiny. You stop working for money and start making money work for you. You begin to live with intention, purpose, and freedom, the kind of freedom that ripples into every area of your life. Because when you control your money, you control your time. And when you control your time, you control your life. That's the essence of the Total Money Makeover, not just financial independence, but life independence. A chance to design your world instead of surviving in someone else's. Imagine waking up one morning with zero debt, a full savings account, investments growing, and the peace of knowing your family is secure. You walk into work because you want to, not because you have to. You make decisions from confidence, not fear. You give freely, love deeply, and live boldly. That's not fantasy, that's what happens when you follow this plan with everything you've got. And when people ask you how you did it, you'll smile because you'll know it wasn't luck. It was work, faith, and discipline. You made the hard choices that others wouldn't, and now you live the life that others can't. That's the power of total transformation. The Total Money Makeover isn't about numbers, it's about freedom. It's the story of how ordinary people, through extraordinary commitment, took control of their money and, in doing so, took control of their lives. It's about winning not in the sense of competing with others, but in finally winning back your peace, your future, your joy. So if you're listening to this and wondering where to start where you are. Save that first $1,000. Attack your smallest debt. Build your emergency fund. Stay focused, stay patient, and keep believing. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Every sacrifice, every small win, every step forward brings you closer to freedom. Because one day, you'll look back and realize you've done it. You've had your own total money makeover. And when that day comes, you won't just have more money. You'll have something far greater: peace, confidence, and the power to live your life on purpose. If this book spoke to you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful insights from the world's best sellers. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing. This is BookCast, where books speak and you grow.